There was breaking news in the biggest chess cheating scandal ever. And it all started in this game in the Singfield Cup in 2022. Magnus Carlsen, the world champion, played Hans Niemann, and this is how it went. It started like this, which is all very normal. This is a very standard opening, but now Magnus played a very rare and offbeat move. If we look at the opening books, there's 80,000 games in this position, and if you see G3 down here is less than 2,000 games. So very, very rare move because Magnus played G3 here. And after the game, Hans admitted that he had looked at this line prior, like the day before or the morning of, which is a very, very strange thing. And when that happens, Hikaru, who is a popular chess streamer, brought up how this was a little weird, a little suspicious, and started to bring up the idea of potentially Magnus's team or his basically group of people who help him prepare his openings might have had a leak, and so his opening may have gotten leaked to Hans. So already, just starting with like the 4 moves in, there's already a little bit of suspicion around Hans Niemann and this game. But this is not a game analysis. I'm not going to go over this game. It was a very interesting game where, like, here Magnus sacrificed the C pawn, and he eventually, got some play, but Hans really just outplayed Magnus from start to finish, which is a very rare thing to see because Magnus is a very strong player. Again, he was the world champion at the time. He's the highest rated chess player ever, and he just like doesn't lose much, and especially with white. But the other thing that was a little weird about this game is that if we look at this, Magnus never had a chance. Usually he's a very creative and resourceful player, but he never had a chance in this game. So if we look at this graph over here on the right, you can see that from the start, white has a small advantage, and then it just slowly goes in black's favor, and it really never goes to white's side at all. Magnus never had a chance in this game. So it was a very, very strange situation because that like never happens to Magnus. Magnus always finds ways to kind of fight back. But regardless, he lost this game. And, people lose, people make mistakes, it happens. But the weird thing that happened was this was a round robin tournament, meaning everyone in the tournament plays each other. And usually they have an even number so that everyone has a game. No one has to sit out around or anything like that. And after this game, Magnus withdrew from the tournament, which in the chess world is a very taboo thing to do. You don't do it unless like it's an emergency or like something really urgent came up. So for him to withdraw and then not say anything was very strange. So following his withdrawal, there was a lot of speculation as to why he withdrew, but he didn't really say anything. All he did was he put out this tweet. And the tweet says, "I've withdrawn from the tournament. I've always enjoyed playing in the St. Louis Chess Club and hope to be back in the future." So, doesn't really say anything, but he included this clip. And in this clip, it's a clip of this guy saying, "If I speak, I'm in big trouble. So, I don't want to speak. I don't want to get in trouble." So this started a lot of speculation among the chess world, among streamers, anybody with a platform in the chess world, as to why Magnus withdrew. And obviously, following this loss to Niemann, kind of implied that Niemann cheated, that somehow Niemann found outside help, somehow he received help from a chess computer, which can be any human. And there was all sorts of various theories as to how he did this. There was even a mention of some vibrating devices inserted in Hans's body. Very, very bizarre theories going on, but basically with this tweet, Magnus implied that he didn't want to say anything, he didn't want to get in trouble because he thinks that Hans cheated. Now, another reason that kind of gained suspicion of Hans was his post-game interviews. After every game he played in this tournament, they had an interview. And it was a little like the quality of his analysis and his understanding of the game was pretty poor for a 2700 level player. And this is a clip of Hikaru Nakamura, who is one of the most popular chess streamers in the world, but he's also one of the top chess players in the world. So, but in this position right here, he's basically saying he could never lose this position. But if we look at the position, black is up material. Black has a rook for a bishop and a pawn. So black is up material, and he's saying, well, I mean, there's no way that black wins this, which is kind of just wrong. So this is Hikaru's reaction to that.
Let's say
this analysis is not 2700 level analysis.
Okay, of course, I should have an advantage here because
what?
Let's say I sit and let's say I go bishop f4. Okay, maybe it's not a huge advantage.
Advantage?
But, okay, let's say I play c4 for example.
c4 in this position. Yeah.
I think I have a slight edge here because it's such
yes. After b6, white is never better here.
So basically, you can. I'll put the link to this video in the description. But Hikaru just basically roasts Hans for his poor analysis, and he's like, "What are you saying? Like, this is ridiculous. You're just wrong." And yeah, he kind of was wrong in a lot of situations. So for him to play some moves that he didn't really understand kind of implies that maybe, or at least some people in the chess world, such as Hikaru, implied that maybe that was a sign that he cheated and he used Chess Engine. So this is kind of where all the suspicion started. And what happened after this was Hans got banned on chess.com, which was very strange. The timing of it was very odd because he was playing an over-the-board tournament. He was playing in person. So why would he get banned online? And so after chess.com banned him, Hans had this interview.
So this is what happened. When I was 12 years old, I was with a friend, and I was playing Title Tuesday. And I was playing, and he came over on an iPad with an engine, and I was 12 years old, and he said, he started giving me the moves. I was a child. I had no idea what happened. Now, this happened once in an online tournament. I was just a child, and nothing happened then. Now, 4 years later, when I was 16 years old during my streaming career, in an absolutely ridiculous mistake, in unrated games, after that, when I was 12, I have never, ever in my life cheated in an over-the-board game, in an online tournament. They were in unrated games. And I'm admitting this, and I'm saying my truth because I do not want any misrepresentation. I am proud of myself that I learned from that mistake and now have given everything to chess. I have sacrificed everything for chess, and I do everything I can to improve. So I'm going to get started. Basically, I wanted to gain some rating. I just wanted to get high rated so I could play stronger players. So I cheated in random games on chess.com. Now, I was confronted.
So that already was a little weird because in the beginning he said he only cheated in unrated games, besides when he was 12 and played in Title Tuesday, which is a online tournaments where there's cash prizes. So if you cheat, that's kind of a big deal because you can't cheat to get money because then you didn't earn that money, right? So now he's saying that he only cheated to gain rating points, but he just said the online games were unrated, and he only cheated when it was unrated. So very kind of contradictory statements there. And then after a long period of silence, chess.com released this, the Hans Niemann report. So the Hans Niemann reports is a 72-page statistical analysis into all of Hans's games online and really just kind of proving that Hans cheated. Really just kind of going against him, saying, yeah, no, he cheated, and he cheated much more than his public statements suggest. So that is kind of the big thing that this proved, is that he didn't just cheat a little, he cheated more than he admitted. And because of this, chess.com removed him from their site, and also they uninvited him from some tournaments because they didn't want him to play as someone who cheated online in the past. So here it says, we uninvited Hans from our upcoming major online event and revoked his access to our site. So very strange situation, because chess.com is a very big presence in the chess world. And for them to make a public statement like this, basically actively attacking Hans and saying, like, yeah, he cheated and he cheated more than he said, was very bold and very thorough as well. 72 pages is a lot of analysis. So after this, there's a bit of a quiet period, and then Hans played Magnus in a different tournament. So this was an online tournament, where they met each other and they got paired and played. So this is what happened in this game.
D4, knight f6, c4. Yeah, definitely. And what? No.
What happened? What?
No.
So basically what happened was Magnus refused to play Hans. He got paired against him. He played one move, resigned, turned his camera off, left. So he actually ended up doing very well in this tournament, but very, big stance to just refuse to play somebody. And this also kind of caused more controversy, because that really kind of confirmed that, yeah, like, he doesn't want to play Hans because he thinks he cheated, and Magnus believes more in the sanctity of the game, and he doesn't want to play Hans because he believed that he cheated once, and if he cheated once, who knows what he's capable of. So after this, Magnus tweeted again, and this was more of a public statement regarding everything that happened. Here he basically summarizes. He says, at the 2022 Singfield Cup, I made an unprecedented professional decision to withdraw from the tournament after my game against Hans Niemann. A week later, in the Champions Chess Tour, I resigned against Hans Niemann after playing only one move. So he basically just recapped what happened, and then down here he says, I believe that Niemann has cheated more and more recently than he publicly admitted. His over-the-board progress has been unusual, and throughout our game in the Singfield Cup, I had the impression that he wasn't tense or even fully concentrating on the game and critical positions, while playing me as black in a way that I think only a handful of players can do. This game contributed to changing my perspective. So he never outright goes and says, I think Hans cheated, but he does bring up this kind of suspicious behavior. For him to beat Magnus almost like effortlessly and not even like fully concentrating, that's a little suspicious. So he brings that kind of out in the air. And then after this, Hans sued everybody. He sued Magnus, he sued chess.com, and he sued Hikaru. All for numerous different allegations, but the main one being defamation. Now, defamation essentially says that you're intentionally, for defamation to be legally accountable, there has to be a malicious aspect to it. Like, they have to purposefully be spreading misinformation. And that didn't really happen. I think Magnus did believe that he cheated. So basically, what happened is this went to court, and this is kind of a quick timeline of the court case. So Neiman sued Carlson and others for $100 million of damages, basically stating defamation, blacklisting by like chess.com, and just all sorts of stuff like that. And then after he made this claim and the case was started, Carlson motioned to dismiss the case. And I thought this was a little interesting here, that he argued that Neiman spent years trying to create the reputation, or curate a reputation as the bad boy of chess. And now he wants to cash in by blaming others. I thought that was a very kind of interesting statement. Let me know what you think about that down below in the comments. But very kind of bizarre statement from a legal perspective. But anyway, after that, Neiman did nothing to disprove the cheating allegations. And recently, a few days ago, after all this time, this happened all the way back in October of 2022, and now it is June 2023, and the case is finally resolved. A federal judge, Audrey Flessig, determined that Neiman failed to prove his claims, essentially, and basically stated that Carlson and others did not defame Hans Niemann. So, a whirlwind of a scandal, lots of moving parts, lots of like cheating in person, cheating online, the lawsuits, lots of stuff going on, made it a very, very interesting scandal. But at the end of the day, it is interesting to think about. Like, we don't know if Hans cheated in that game against Magnus, and we never really will know. But was it okay for Carlsen to withdraw from the tournaments because of that? Because if you think about it, by doing that and by sending out this tweet, which said like, if I speak, I'm in big trouble, he essentially ruined Hans's career, his life, because now everyone hears Hans Niemann and they know, oh, isn't he the guy that cheated and did X, Y, and Z? And if it's not true, then that just kind of ruined his reputation and his life. Everyone's going to know him as the cheater. So a very interesting situation, because neither side really has evidence of either. So like Magnus doesn't have evidence that Hans cheated in the Singfield Cup, and Hans doesn't have evidence that he didn't cheat. So it's really a case that never will be resolved again. Like, we won't know if Hans really did cheat or not. But it's very interesting to think about, did Magnus do the right thing when he withdrew? Because immediately when he withdrew, he put all this blame on Hans and put him in a very difficult situation. So, a very, very interesting case and scandal. So there's a lot to talk about. So please put your comments down below. I'd love to talk about this. And yeah, thanks for watching, and like and subscribe for more.